So first we need to start off by changing our settings. We do that by right-clicking on the Settings button and clicking Admin Console. And then we go to System Settings and scroll down to the Order settings here. Order custom qualifiers are if you guys need to track anything internally. You can change these to track whatever it is that you guys need to do that the system doesn't track. Now these won't print off on any of the forms that you send to your customers, but they can be used to track and search for things in the system. It has a standard month, day, year format for the dates, but you guys can switch that around if you need to track it a different way. And if you guys need approval from a sales manager or somebody in a similar position here, you can change the value to 1. This column tells you the value that it's currently set, and this is the default value. So if you switch this to 1, then orders are going to require approval before they're finalized. Towards the top of the screen, if you scroll up to the top, if you guys integrate into QuickBooks or some other sort of accounting software, this is where you would put the accounting API. And that's pretty much it as far as setting up your settings for sales orders. So we can go ahead and X out of that. Okay. Another important note to make is setting up your companies properly. And that is your customer information. So we can click on the Companies button to look at the Company Explorer. And it's very important that you set up as much information on these companies as possible. This pre-populates a lot of the information on the sales order for you, so you're not having to type in or make mistakes in typing in information. It's already set from the very start. The email is also very important, since whenever you click the email button on a sales order, this is who's going to send it to. So if they have a main point of contact there, it's important that you set it up in the company and not just, sales order by sales order. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the quotes. So let's make a new quote. We do this by clicking on the Sales button. This is going to take you to the Sales Explorer. Here you can search for any active sales order. As you can see, I don't have any in the system right now. But you can create a new quote using the New Quote button on the left-hand side. All right. First things first, you need to select a customer who you're quoting something to. I'm going to use example customer. As you can see, it's going to populate all that contact information from the company that we set up previously. You can put shipping information as well. If you're shipping to a well or a yard, in this case, we're going to do that location. We can also set up our tax rate. In our case, it's 0.87, I think. Yeah, 0.87 here in Oklahoma. All right. So now you have your basic information filled out for this quote. Next thing to do is to add the line items that you're actually, quoting them. To do so, it's pretty intuitive. You just click on the Add Item button at the top of the page. Since this is a quote, we're not selecting inventory that we have, right? We're not yet reserving the inventory for this order. This is simply a quote. So we're going to choose Master Part Number. So I'm going to go down to Pipe, search for some 4.5, and we're going to do some J55. So once you have your part selected, you're going to enter the quantity. So let's say they're ordering, I don't know, 6,000 feet. And the average is 32. All right, so now we see that the quantity is 6,000. That's how many feet they've ordered. And we have a unit price. If we open up the master part number, by double-clicking on it, we can see where it's getting this information. We have a unit price of $39.99. You have all the specifications as well as the unit of measurement. I'm going to change that to feet. Okay. I'm going to close that. Refresh. Okay. All right. So now we've added this line item, and we can see that it's still outstanding, right? It's not necessarily inventory yet. This is just a quote. Once you've added all the line items that you want, you can also declare them taxable. If you declare them taxable and hit refresh, taxable, and hit save, and then refresh, you can see at the top it's going to apply a tax whenever they go to pay. So let's go ahead and print this out. Let's say we want to print out a where is that? So now we can see that it's opened up our email and attached this quote to it. And we're going to save it to our desktop so we can open it up and see it. Let me go ahead and find it. Here we go. We have the quote. This is what the customer is going to receive. It's going to have the quantities, the description, all the part information, as well as the totals. You have the unit price and the total price. As you can see, it's not going to charge them anything just yet since they're not agreeing to pay for it. But you have all the customer information at the top. So let's go back. All right. So once you've sent it out to your customers, let's say they agree to the quote. Now we can convert it to a sales order since it's now active. Converting it to sale right here, this button at the top, is the way to do that. So what it did is it left the quote open and it cloned an active sales order. Right? So they're essentially two different entities. And here's where I was saying, since this has been set to taxable, once you have the sales order, it's going to factor the tax into the total price. This shares the exact same information, but now it's a sales order. So we're going to check outstanding, save, and okay. So now what do we need to do? Well, we need to add actual inventory to the sales order as we're shipping it out to the customer. So the way we do that is, again, we add an item, but instead of choosing from a master part now, we're going to pick from an existing job or tally. And we can see here everything I have that falls under my company. It automatically filters your company for the add item tooltip. So we need 6,000 feet. We have several jobs that could fulfill this. So let's select this job, add it. We're going to select the entire. And this is important right here. It's going to ask you to reduce the amount of outstanding balance. This is essentially how you're going to tie your sales order in with your live inventory. What we're doing here is reserving the inventory in the system so that we don't double sell. Right? Once it's on the sales order, anybody else can see that it's on a sales order already, and they're not going to sell it again. And obviously that's going to save you money since double selling is not necessarily the greatest thing in the world. So the system ties in your order system, your ticketing system, with your live inventory. And that's one of the key features of Oil Country OS. So I'm going to click yes. And as you can see, the outstanding value is no longer 6,000. It is now 12,000, or 1,200, excuse me. We can see the joint counts is reflected as well. We have 150 joints here. And should the price change, you can edit the price of this, right? It may not necessarily be the same price as you quoted them, but let's say that it is. We're just going to type in $39.99, hit enter, and there's the real value of this line item. It'll show the remaining value of the outstanding in the cell. So it keeps track of it live. So let's go ahead and add another item to fulfill the entire order. We're still missing 1,200 feet. So let's add an item. We're going to pick from an existing job again. I'm going to close this Outlook. There we go. All right. And we're going to pick this job this time, since it only has 100 joints. And we're going to transfer by bulk. And we're going to transfer by footage. We don't want 3,200. We're only interested in 1,200 feet. And that's going to average out to 38 joints off of that job. And again, yes, we want to reduce from the outstanding balance, since that's how we're keeping track of what the order has already shipped and what is still remaining on the order. Okay, so now we have the two line items that are fulfilling this order, and we see that the outstanding balance is 0. So this is essentially how you know this order is ready to go. And again, we're going to put in the price here. If you don't enter a price, it's going to pull it from the master part. So if you set up your master part to have a price to it whenever you add it to a sales order, that's where it's going to pull it. But you can always edit it here in the order. Okay, so now we have a pretty much fulfilled order, and you can also add services to it if you guys performed any services for the customer. All right. We can also do things like print releases. If you're working through a third-party vendor and you need them to ship these quantities to your customer, then you're going to need to print a release. And here we see the release order, and it has those two line items on there. And you can also email this or export this or whatever you need to do with it. Let's see what else we can do up here. Okay, so next what we need to do is actually ship this inventory. So if you're shipping this in multiple batches, you can hover over a line item, right-click on it, and hit ship. And you can transfer the entire thing, or by bulk if you're doing multiple shipments. Say customers are agreeing to a certain amount of pipe over 6 months or whatever the agreement was. So we're just going to select the entire tally this time. And no, we've already deduced from the outstanding balance, so we don't want to do that again. That's going to give us a negative balance. So as you can see, this is why we populate all the information ahead of time in our company and location managers, because it does all this shipping information for you. You can see that the region or the location has changed according to what's on the sales order. And we're going to say example customer is going to be the new owner of the pipe. And we're going to go ahead and complete it. You can see that the job, the line item, the 150 joints that we're shipping, 4,800 feet, is already loaded on the truck. So it saves you a lot of time by doing that. And again, you can print a bill of lading from here, or load slip, whatever the need might be. We're just going to complete once that's done. And we're going to complete the jobs and tallies now. And if we were to hit refresh, we can see that this is now completed. Now, this is good because these 4,800 feet, these 150 joints, are no longer in your inventory system. So not only is it tracking it that it's been sold to a customer, but it removes it from the inventory and allows you to keep track of what you have available to sell in your yards or locations. Let's go ahead and complete the ship the other line item. And we're going to change to example customer and hit complete. Same process. Again, it's already populated on the truck. We're going to complete now. We're going to refresh now. Now we can see that the sales order is pretty much complete. You can save it at any point in time. This is order 15 and close it out. And because obviously this is not going to be a one-day process necessarily, so you can always go back to the sales button, search for your open orders, and see that order number 15 is still active. In this case, we've already shipped everything and received payment, and it's pretty much done, so we can hit complete. Hit yes, and now we don't have any open sales orders. So another thing that may arise when working with sales orders are, especially when you're working with third-party vendors, you may request to ship out 5,000 feet to your customer, but that's the bulk, right? That's not necessarily a hard. It's an estimate of 5,000 feet. It may not be exact. So if you ever, once you receive the tallies from your third-party vendor, let's say they tallied it on loading, we can reconcile that to reflect the proper amounts. So we're going to search for completed. We're going to find number 15 and open that up. You can just open it by double-clicking. You can see that it's not going to let you edit the customer. It's not going to let you edit most anything, but you can find the job or item that was tallied, double-click on it, and click on the actions. Now we're going to reconcile. No, we're going to have to reopen it first. So right-click on it, reopen this job, and hit reconcile. You can either do it through the actions button or right-click. I just like right-clicking and hitting reconcile. Okay. So we're going to correct this transaction, right? It was, let's see, where's our... Here we go. So we can just set the new total feet and new total joint count. Let's say they sent back we requested 4,800 feet be shipped out, but they said it was, 4,812 feet. And then we can just comment. And finish the reconcile. Then we can save. We can see that the bulk total has now been changed. So now we're going to go ahead and hit complete again. And there you go. You've reconciled your order to the tallies from your vendor. Do you have any questions so far, Kayla? I haven't paused in a while. I've been going pretty fast. If not, we're going to move on to the reports. Okay, awesome. So yeah, let's look at some of the reports. The system comes built in with quite a few reports for sales. Since we're dealing with sales order this time, we're just going to click on the sales in the report manager. And we can view open sales, completed sales. Let's look at the completed sales since we've already done one. We're going to run this report. We can see order 15 right here. We can see the order date, who the sale order was to, and where it went, and the total amount. So this is pretty simple report. We also have more complicated ones, such as order detail. No, I need a filter. No. You can build the filter on the order detail and find our order number 15 and run the report. Oh, it's completed. Where's customer status? Complete. And it's example customer. Oh. Okay. I might have to look into that. Okay, so let's look at the quote conversion. This is a really cool feature. The quote conversion is going to give you a percentage of how many quotes were actually turned into sales orders. So that's really useful tracking, especially when you break it down by salesperson. Let's just run a blank report, and you can see here we have order 15. It's complete and the different line items. I can run this one as well. You can see it by company name as well. So if you can track how many quotes are actually being converted to sales order by customer. So you can identify where you're kind of falling short with certain customers and make adjustments to bring those numbers up. And quotes by part. See what you're selling the most, or what your customers have most interest in. Since we only dealt with 4.5 J55, that's all we're going to see here. And you can see a total for each quote number. And you can do other things like orders by date, so you can look at a month or a year or a particular week or day. And most of these, you're pretty free to use the filters in any which way you want, so they're very customizable to your particular needs or what you're looking for. Let's go back to the Sales Explorer, do a blank search, nothing. Let's look for completed sales. And again, you can do most anything here in the Order Explorer. If you need to export to accounting, you can do that here as well. You can checkpoint them. And that's pretty much it. That's the very, very basics for sales orders. Different companies, different types of companies are going to use these a little bit differently. You may not use outstanding values. You may just create a new sales order and add items directly to the sales order without necessarily going through the quote process. So we can actually just pick from existing inventory and select it and add it. Oh, 39.99. Okay, it makes it taxable. So we can see, since it's an actual line item, it's not outstanding, it's actually going to calculate the tax immediately. How do you create a quote on pipe that is being EMI or hydro tested or cleaned? Okay, so whenever you're doing the quotes, you're not necessarily, are you talking about a work order? Am I correct here, Kayla? Are you talking about a work order? Are you talking about a work order? A quote for the services? Okay. Right, that's a new W, a work order. It works pretty much the same way. It's just line items on a work order. So we're going to click on the new work order button. It's again done in the Sales Explorer from the home screen. And here you can see the current checkpoint is work order. Let's select example customer as who we're performing these services from. And here we're going to click add item and choose from master part. And under the category filter, you can pick services. And here we can see we have sales service 1. Obviously you're going to have services like EMI or hydro tested, but you're going to select that. You can put the unit cost here. Let's say you're measuring this by joint. Let's say they're doing 10 joints in the EMI or whatever the case might be. You can it's pulling the price from the master part, but again, you can enter it here. So you set up your service parts, and you just add them like line items, right? But they're not pipe, they're not inventory. These are just services. And if we print a work order, print a work order, we can see the sales service there. But you're not going to have the joints or anything like that. So it works almost exactly the same. You're just dealing with different type of master parts. So yeah, just click on work order. You can see the checkpoint, and you can also add these services to a regular sales order. So if you're moving pipe and also charging them for services, you can add the line items in the same way. This is how we handle our inspections as well. Does that answer your question, Kayla? And actually, you're the only one here, so I can actually unmute you if you just want to use your microphone. It's up to you.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Now I have something pertaining not to this work order or sales orders, but each like Order Explorer and Order 17, they're in tabs. Every time I click on something, it brings up a whole new window. How do I change that? Because that is
fantastic question. That's in your settings. If you just click on the button, let's see, where is it? Okay, in the General tab under Settings in your options, see this window display mode? Make sure that is not checked. If it's
okay, let me open mine and see.
So if you're on the home screen, click on Settings. Just click on the button.
Okay.
And in the view, right here in the middle, you're going to see Window Display Mode. If that is checked, it's going to do a new window anytime you open something up. So make sure it's not checked, and it'll do the tabs at the top, which I prefer. Because it's kind of like,
that's a lot easier than opening a new window every time.
Yeah, especially if you only have like one screen or something like that. It's a lot easier to manage. It's more like Internet Explorer or something like that. So yeah, just uncheck that. And that's per user. So if you have, a workstation with 3 screens, then you can do the window thing. But, on a tablet, you probably want the tabs.
Okay. Then I clicked that, so.
Did you have any other questions? I know you were having some issues with the tally grabber. I can answer those.
Yeah. Every time we're trying to, enter it into the computer, I would hit the button to measure, and it would go on the tally, and then I'd hit the Bluetooth to put it in the computer, and it would go in that box. And then I'd hit the measure button again to move it down, and then to measure again, and then hit the Bluetooth button, but it wouldn't move down in a box on the computer. It just did on the tally machine and not in the computer, so I didn't really know how that worked.
Yeah.
Fixed it, but I'm not for sure.
Okay, let me show you.
I haven't got finesse with it yet.
Let me show you so you have a better idea. So you're using Tally now. Once you've connected your device and you're ready to enter, make sure if you're seeing this, the keypad, you're on touch entry. That's basically saying that you're manually pressing the buttons and entering the measurements. You need to switch over to device input. Once you switch over to device input, it's not going to show you this. And it's going to automatically move to the next row. I think I have the tally device around here. But yeah, once you do this, every time you hit the Bluetooth button to send it to the system, it's going to jump to the next space. But that only works if you're on device input. So next time, just once you've connected your device, make sure you're not seeing the number pad. Just click on device input.
And then the box that you're in where it says current link, the one to the right, is that the box you're supposed to be in, or are you supposed to be in the one on the left-hand side of the screen by the asterisk?
You just have to click on device input and start measuring. It's going to input it here, but it's going to send it over here, right?
Okay.
It's just telling the oil country how you're measuring it. If you have it on device input, it's going to assume that you're not going to be touching the keyboard at all, and you're going to be using the device, and it's going to jump the cells automatically for you. But yeah, you can be on the current length box. It's fine. It'll work.
Okay, because I was having a heck of a time with that earlier, and I cannot figure it out.
Yeah, actually, it'll work still on the touch entry if you use the arrows on the measuring device itself. It has some like arrows. I think you have to click second and then move down. It'll work that way too. But using device inputs, that's how it's built, and it's much, much easier. You don't have to worry about going to the next line. It does that automatically for you.
Alrighty then.
Anything else?
Nope, not at the moment, I don't think.
Okay. Well, doesn't look like it was a popular webinar, but I'll upload the video and send it out to everybody. So if you don't have any other questions, I'll go ahead and call it good.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you, Kayla. Have a good one.